Hello, hello. Welcome back to Infinite Roleplay, and this is going to be a very, very quick update on the cartoon version of D&D that I've been working on, that up until this point I've been calling Saturday Morning D&D or Saturday Morning RPG. From henceforth and forthwith from now on will be referred to as Saturday Morning Tabletop. Partly because calling it Saturday Morning D&D is kind of a copyright thing, or could be a copyright thing. I don't want to risk it. I don't want to get into that. I'm going to go through this really fast because I just recorded about 20 minutes of getting into anything and everything that I've done without audio. Great on my part, right? I know. So, Saturday Morning Tabletop. I have been working hard on redoing the entire magic system to get rid of the Vancian system and go into, the mana and having a pool of resources, a well that you can dip from and pull power from to actually manifest these spells. And I've done so. I've completed the magic section. I have not completed the spells section to my personal liking, but I feel I have enough to get a game going. I have 88 spells within 7 spell schools. Also, with the idea of this being not rules light so much as sort of simplified in a lot of areas, your access to spells are very limited. The choice of spells aren't as expansive as they are in the normal Dungeons and Dragons. You're not going to need to have a character that has 100 spells and pick and choose and memorize what spells on rest. You know what you know, and you can cast what you pay for. So, with that in mind, where's my other tab? Bam! Introduce you to the Wizard. The Wizard class is finished from levels 1 through 20. The Wizard is done. The Wizard has access to much more mana than the Priest, and infinitely more than the Spell Thief, because the Spell Thief has to actually steal magic. But they only recharge that mana well upon a long rest, unlike the Priest, who can recharge on a short or a long rest, keeping the Priest sustainable, in my opinion, since the Storm Priest, even the Storm Priest being more focused on damage, is primarily a support class. They make everyone else better. They keep everyone else up. If you've been watching the alpha tests so far that have been using the old Vancian system, the priests are really... One priest can be a linchpin in having the party of heroes survive an encounter and possibly overcome, overwhelming odds. And I personally, I love that. Even as the GM, having to knock them down multiple times and figure out where to target, who to go. I think it's very, high action, over the top, insane, bananas stuff going on, and I personally like that. Now, with the Wizard is, you might see me working on 3 archetypes. I'm only going to include 2 in the book, in regards to the other classes that only have 2 archetypes currently, and I'm over 100 pages now and haven't even put the bestiary in, so I'm trying to stick with a page budget of roughly 150 to possibly 200 pages, because I want this to be a printed book, and I don't want to be forced to charge $40, $50 like everyone else. I would personally like it to be around $25, maybe $30, depending on how much everyone is telling me. It has to be this much price point. So I'll work on that. But with that said, priests get the ability at first level to pay a mana to detect magic for a limited amount of time. The priest archetypes are called the Arcane Praxis. I know Saturday Morning Praxis doesn't necessarily sound like a kid's wording, but I kind of wanted to put it in because praxis sounds like practice, and that's pretty much what a praxis is. It is your practice. Uh, so maybe, as I'm writing and expanding my own vocabulary, if I were to present this to any children, hopefully I can expand their vocabulary and education in any form that you can get. In any way you can expand your mind, both analytically and creatively, it's always good. Then it's beneficial for yourself and everyone around you, as long as you don't, I know more words than you. As long as you don't take that kind of attitude to it, good to go. So I'm going to be working on the evoker. I have stuck in my head what I want to do with the evoker. The evoker is just indiscriminate, massive destruction. If this was a 1980s action movie, the evoker would be the dude that, like, one shot of a bullet blows the guy up. Throwing a single grenade in a building collapses the entire freaking building. That's going to be pretty much what the evoker is all about. More damaging spells, bigger blasts for spells, just immense destruction. And I'm going to include the War Wizard. The War Wizard is pretty much finished mechanically. I want to add some fluff, tidy some things up. But War Wizards gain proficiency with armor, with shields, with swords, and as you know, as long as you're proficient in armor, you can cast in armor. Unlike the Evoker, who cannot cast in armor, cannot wield any weapons in their hand, needs both hands to cast spells. Not the case with the War Wizard. As the War Wizard levels up, they eventually gain proficiency in heavy armor and can replace the arcane focus required to cast a spell with a shield, treating a shield as an arcane focus, and even replace the need to have an open hand for somatic components. They can actually use a sword to cast somatic components. So the War Wizard is about being fully armored, fully armed, protected, and able to fight in melee combat. They also get additional hit points to offset the squishiness of a wizard. Let's see what else. Component beginning at 6th level. Unlike the Evoker, they can counter spells. Since the War Wizard, in my mind, is more of an actual soldier, is used to battling people, to battling other mages, they can protect themselves from spells. Now, it's only a self-protection. I'm thinking of, in my mind, that lineup of, that squad of mage-slaying sort of... They're wizards, but they're wizards designed to battle other wizards and, keep that front line strong. So they can block and parry spells. Effectively, they have the same results. They cost 2 different amounts of mana, because to parry a spell costs less, but requires a roll, and you need your sword in your hand. To block a spell, you need your shield. It costs twice as much mana, but as long as the amount is paid, the spell is blocked. No roll. No roll necessary. Also, with the idea of having that sort of tough brick of a front line, to battle against evildoer mages and spellcasters. As a bonus action, once they reach level 10, a War Wizard can spend their recoveries to gain mana instead of gaining the hit points they would normally get. They also gain their awesome power amount in addition to the mana. Basically, they're like the all-in kind of character. Like, there's one important fight, and the War Wizard just goes all in. Also, the idea of burning recoveries for mana is to support the level 14 ability that they get, that I'm calling Final Form for now. Basically, they become Kali, like an embodiment of a war god. They sprout 4 additional arcane arms, all wielding arcane swords, and as long as that form is up, they can spend an action to do 4 melee spell attacks with these swords. Each sword dealing 3d6 plus their intelligence modifier in damage. In addition, the form grants them a number of temporary hit points equal to their beat up level. So it grants them half their HP in additional temporary hit points as a buffer. Once those hit points are gone, the final form ends. The next caveat to the final form is that it costs 5 mana every round, at the beginning of every round. No action is necessary to maintain the final form, only the expenditure of 5 points of mana. If those points cannot be paid, the final form ends prematurely. I wanted a way to balance this final form because, the ability to just go into that kind of form and just pounce. I mean, they effectively become like a fighter, almost as hardy as a fighter too, because of that temporary shield. You combine a war wizard with a heal monkey at this insane level, or at like max level, and the idea is to have player characters, to have these Saturday morning heroes able to be very good, pushed a little over the top singularly, but to be like that team. Everyone kind of supports everyone else, and I thoroughly enjoy that sort of idea. So some of the other classes I'll be including a little later. The Spell Baron archetype for the wizard is actually going to be focused on being able to protect people from the effects of their AoEs, being able to concentrate on multiple concentration spells depending on their awesome power, and some other neat tricks to support a team rather than just be the spell beast that an invoker is, or the kind of multi-classed almost damage dealing insaneness that the war wizard is. So with that said, I've been talking for way too long. I'm going to shut up and leave you just leave you alone. Leave me alone. You leave. Stop bugging me. Don't stop bugging me. Keep showing up, hanging out. Give me some feedback if you want to take part in the beta. If you're interested in the process or granting any feedback, you can always go to Facebook. What is it? /Infinite Roleplay or 8 Roleplay on Facebook, and just leave me a message there and let me know what's up. I'll probably just put you in the chat and we'll do stuff. So yeah. Peace.